It's the Do Not Scratch Your Eyes post-match phone-in on X or Twitter or whatever it's called these days.
Well, good evening, everybody. A bit of a weird one, really, wasn't it? A stalemate at the Vic tonight. What did you think of that game? You let me know, because we were kind of walking back to the car, myself and Justin, along with Sean, who very kindly gave us a lift there. And it felt to me like it was quite a meh sort of game. And I don't know whether or not the game was meh or whether or not my expectations, because of who we were playing and how Bristol City had got an injury crisis and had done, kind of done all right, in the season, but they were having a hard time of it. I'm not sure, because, Justin's point was, well, actually, it was quite end to end. It was, that we'd have a go at it. For me, it felt like we were, but you tell me what you think. It felt like instead of attacking with a spear, playing one single striker, we were attacking with a horseshoe. And we kind of, again, would move it from one side to another. Moments where we would, kind of get forward and put the ball in, or try to put the ball in the box. It didn't quite work. Let me know what you think. 5 points from the week, I think, is pretty damn reasonable. I think a lot of people would have taken that before. 7, of course, would have been great. But, that's always going to be the case, that you're going to think that it would be better if we'd have had more. But, what can you do? What can you do? Let me just turn that back to that for a second while I'm doing various things. So anyway, hit request. Let me know what you think. I'm going to start off with somebody we tried to get on the other day, and sometimes we fail, sometimes we do. But let me go to John Parslow and see whether or not we can get him, or if it's just stuck in spinning wheel of doom territory. As you know, as ever, hit request. Put your comments into YouTube. Put them into give us the 5-word reviews if you want. Put them in the long forms, should you so wish. John, are you there? No, it's getting spinning wheel of doom. Sometimes these things can go that way. Let me see if we can add in the big Lebowski. Looks like he's there. That would look, that's looking promising. Brett, sir, are you there? Brett, are you there? Are you with me? Am I talking to myself? Is anyone around? I don't know. Brett, are you there, sir? God blimey. Let's go to the old faithful. Let's try for Rich, shall we? Rich, WFC2. There's always somebody I can rely on. How you doing?
I'm all right. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm all right. I haven't worked out exactly what I thought of tonight, or I think it's been a good week. I think there's some solids. I thought that was a frustrating game for me, and possibly a bit meh, but I may be being too harsh. What are your thoughts on proceedings tonight at the Vic?
No, I'm similar. I'm going to say, firstly, I want to say well done to the display. I thought that was magnificent.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think fair play to all that got involved in that. And I'm going to say it tonight. I don't normally say it because we're not the best for it, but I thought our crowd tonight were terrific. Got behind the team.
Nice.
But I think they could all sense what we all felt, is that it weren't happening apart from the first 15 minutes when we started like a house on fire. We were really good in that spell, superb goal, and then everything stopped. And there was a lot of people walking up to the ground today. I could hear it, and with optimism and people shouting, and I think it'd be 3 or 4-0 tonight. Word got out that Bristol City are literally giving a pair of boots and a shirt to anyone in their club that was available that could run around, because they are so bereft of players with their injuries. So I think when you add that into the mix and you look at what we've seen tonight, you have to feel extremely disappointed. And I'm a little bit upset we have it. I've got to be honest with you. I said I thought the the adults were in the room again, and I hope I want to stand by that to a point. But the way that Javi Gracia set us up as the game went on, and the way that he is not utilising a massive asset that we have in Bar frightens me and worries me. And we've got another Delafeo situation on our hands. I don't think he knows how to really use the luxury, explosive, game-changing players.
Yeah.
And that is really worrying me, because when he finally brings Bar on, he still plays him on the left. All right, he drifted over a couple of times to our side, because I'm on the right side in that second half, being in the lower Graham Taylor.
Yep.
And I'm just looking and I'm thinking, I don't understand it. I just don't understand it. You have a powerful weapon. They are rabbits in headlights a little bit in a spell in that second half, the Bristol City players. Bring him on and terrorise them, and we bring him on, and I don't think he touched the ball for 5 minutes. And you just can't do that. And that is my biggest frustration tonight, is that there was 3 massive points. We were very lucky Tuesday night. A great point, but, cold light of day, we're lucky to come away with a point there. And we'll take it every day of the week. But that point's only really good if you win your home games. And we've played, as I say, a team bereft of players tonight. And honestly, I was glad to hear the final whistle, because I could see them scoring again.
Well, the breakaway at the end was heart in mouth time, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, and Pete, I'm going to say 2 words to you, and all I'm going to say to you, those 2 words are, when I say to you Scott Twine, what do you say?
You say set piece.
Correct. I know it. You know it. You didn't have to think twice. No. I knew it. He's standing over the ball. He scores against Watford nearly every time he plays. He's a set-piece specialist. Yeah. And Selvik stands off his goal line. It's unforgivable. He made 2 lovely saves in the game, Selvik. Yep. But I'm sorry, that is unforgivable. I've tried not to get on his back. I've deliberately kept quiet. I don't want our goalie getting stick. Yep. But I'm sorry, I'm coming round to the fact thinking that he needs a break, maybe, and Baxter needs a run, because that was unforgivable. And it gave all the initiative to a team that had nothing to work with, and they got that, they got that grit. And I full credit to Bristol City, because that team run for their manager. They died for their manager. They wanted to get something out of that game. They were hungry, and they were bereft of players. Sinclair Armstrong run our defence ragged. Yeah. Our two centre forwards today were impotent, very, very poor.
Well, I thought we've talked about forwards a lot. I think that Javi looked at that game and the acknowledgement which some have already said on social media and have echoed what you said, which was at some points you can look at the Ipswich game and go, we could have lost that very, very easily in the last knockings, and therefore he's switched to that 3 perhaps. But the concussive effect was the 3 up front, where we've got 2 wide players either side, and Kieran basically through the centre, and he was completely, and they were for a large part almost completely isolated and very frustrated when nothing was working on its own. Obviously, we'll discuss Iram Kunda in a bit, but also Doumbia on the right, who we know has been so effective as a 2. That felt like it reduced us by trying to make sure we were containing them. Even then, they had those breakaway chances. But do you think that was why he did it? And should we look at the 2 games in tandem? In terms of what we kind of maybe gained on Tuesday in terms of points, we sort of lost a bit tonight, as you say. That point's only valuable if you really kind of secure against it in the following game.
There's an argument for that and what you're saying, but at the end of the day, you're at home. You've got your team available. You go out and you don't worry about Bristol City. And this is what it felt again tonight. He was worrying about them more than letting them worry about us. And he put players, as you say, Mamadou's out on the right. He's not a right winger. He's got to be down the centre. Play the 2 lads together as a 2 and have them others in the back. But it wasn't just that. It was the defence as well. If I hear one person more sort of moan about Jeremy Ngaki and say that Petrus was better, Petrus was terrible tonight. Absolutely terrible. He gave away the free kick for the goal. He was all over the shop. I watched him in the second half again down my wing. He's got some strapping coming off of his hand, wailing away in the air, all bloody 20 odd minutes that he stayed on the pitch. He was terrible, and Gaki was so much better when he came on. Jeremy's not great. He's not the best in the world, but at least he gets stuck in and looked like he cared. And then you've got Max Elaine on the other side, I thought was awful as well. And I thought, crikey, I wanted him to play. But he's not a left-sided centre-back any more than Pollock is. And I just felt so frustrating that, I hope Javi wakes up in the morning and really looks himself in the mirror and kicks himself, if it's possible to do, up the arse, because he's made a ricket tonight. I really believe it. And we've thrown away points at home against a team, and again, full credit to them. I'm not having a go at them, but they should not have lived with us with the players that they had available compared to what we had, and particularly after the start we had. Javi, when he was asked questions tonight, didn't have the answers. The substitutes never worked whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And when you've got Edo Kayembe in the middle of the park running around in circles, as our dear friend Greg used to call him, and he's absolutely right, left foot Lenny. He goes round in a circle and round in a circle. He cannot turn, and it just gives us nothing. And tonight you saw why Kyprianou is such a key player for Watford, that makes Loser be able to play more. Because even at the end, Loser had a dodgy 10 minutes or so, and that's almost sacrilege to say. But he was so knackered and couldn't get the game going. Even he started making mistakes, and they were breaking on him. So, yeah, I don't want to be negative, because it's not been the worst week in the world, but I'm afraid lots of Watford fans all felt the same tonight. Perhaps complacency got in, and we all thought we just had to turn up to win. And I think after 15 minutes, perhaps the players did as well, and then realised actually Bristol City was saying, hello, we're still here, and they're up the top of the table for a reason, and they're out of form at the minute because they've got no players.
I think your point about the resolute nature of Bristol City has to be put out there, that they did work incredibly hard. And there's a couple of points which the guys on YouTube had just made, which is Orca Personal Training, which is just a name that rolls off the tongue. That's Orca Personal Training, everybody. But convinced Dumbia should be our starting number 9. K9, nowhere near as mobile. And I think the mobility piece is interesting. Josh Lewis said, feels like how Ipswich must have felt after our draw with them. Need one of our strikers to catch consistent form, which I think is very reasonable if we want to believe in the playoffs. Very good performance, he said, aside from that. And a really interesting one, because we often talk and debate about statistics and kind of the eye test and whether or not it's best to look at things in the cold light of day. And as he said, 10 shots on target, 9 saved. So we did orchestrate it. I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just watching it too emotively. It felt frustrating, and it didn't feel like we had the final ball kind of worked through enough to kind of really create convincing opportunities to me. But I'm prepared to be told different.
No, I tend to agree, and I didn't find myself jumping out of my seat thinking we were going to score. Yes, there were shots coming up, and the goalkeeper parried them away a few times and things like that. But I didn't actually feel jumping up thinking, oh, that's a goal, we're going to score there, blah blah blah. Yeah, I never felt that tonight. I never felt that we were going to, apart from the first 10-15 minutes. I thought we were going to run away with it then, but then it just stopped and they scored, and I don't know. And then not helped by just another disgraceful referee. Honestly, my God, we get some. I mean, it's just embarrassing. I mean, I know Bristol City needed some help tonight, and boy, they got some help with that bloke in the middle, because I'm just so sick of watching these. And they're amateurs. And I know we need referees to referee games, but Christ almighty, there must be better out there, because what a disgrace of a referee that bloke was tonight. And but that ain't the reason. That isn't the reason we didn't win. Well, maybe it was. I don't know. But no, maybe that point will look better in a couple of weeks' time. I don't know. But we had a great opportunity to go into the international break absolutely flying, get a few more fit, get Chak Fadazzi back on the pitch one of these days, and go from there. And it's I think another. It felt a little bit like everyone felt the same when it was Javi's first game against Sheffield United. Everybody was up and thinking, here we go, and it ended up being as flat as a pancake. And I feel that tonight. I don't think it was a good performance. I don't care what one of your guys just said on you. No. great performance. It wasn't a great performance at all. A great performance, we win that game. That was not a great performance. There's too many players were, 5, 6 out of 10 instead of 7, 8 out of 10, which you need to win games. And but okay, would we have taken a point at we'd have taken a point at Ipswich every day of the week, I suppose.
Yes,
but and it's not a bad week return, but I don't understand how you can go from Middlesbrough last week and play like we did, and the formation looks so right and so penetrating to that damp squid. In my opinion, the damp squid tonight, but it is what it is.
For me, it just felt like the 3 didn't work. However, the people who are pointing out the stats, and it's all valid, it's all there in the mix to discuss with everything, will point out that you only need one of those to go in, and then everybody's we're all kind of purring and going, well, we've done it. It felt to me, and I described it earlier on, and I did at the game, which was like, previously we've been attacking with a spear, with a point where everything's going central, and I said today it felt like we were throwing a horseshoe at it. We were sort of going across the back and keeping the ball and getting it, and we kept it. And I thought the second half was an improvement, but it didn't feel like we had the tip of the spear quite right. Exactly as was said earlier on, we need somebody who's going to be able to kind of finish these off. Maybe that's just the fine margins, and it's just the difference between scoring and not scoring. I do like Dave Savage's comment. He says, and I think you'll agree with this, ref was a fucking disaster. Now we're not asking for 5-word reviews, but that would be a very good one. I thought he was odd. I think the standard of reffing has been the thing that's fallen off a cliff this year. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't a very high cliff in the first place. I didn't think, but I didn't realize how low the precipice would fall off afterward. He seemed strangely odd and again very inconsistent. However, it is championship fare still, and it is there. I wonder if my expectations, because of how Bristol City were going, was maybe kind of peaked, and with that thing at the start. Interestingly, if we go back to the goal that we scored, it was really interesting. I was chatting with Sean, and the ball had been moved out to Loser, who wasn't able to get forward as much as he can do when he's got Hector Cipriano alongside him. Was one thing, and he got the ball deep. And what had happened was both Dumbia and Kierangard had gone over to the right hand side, and it was like, Iran Kunda, make the run. You just got to make the run for the diagonal, and he didn't. And then the ball got played back across into KMB. And it was almost like Boller looked at him and went, well, if you're not going to make the fucking run, I will. It got back to him, and he did exactly that. A beautiful touch, a wonderful finish, took an absolute whack to the, I don't know, head, solar plexus, leg, all of his body, I don't know, for it. Mark Boller, I think a lot of people have said he's done really well this season. We talked about Jeremy Ngakia. I think Boller is improving at a rate of knots. Is that reasonable?
100%. Actually, I meant to say it last Saturday, and with the I've given quite a lot of plaudits out last Saturday. I've got to say, without a shadow of a doubt, but for Loser, you've got Mark Boller has been superb, outstanding, and he was excellent again tonight. And full credit to him. And 100% agree. We've done very, very well there. No one is thinking about Wiley or anything like that at the moment. You have to give absolute full credit to him. And he brings that ball down on his left foot, literally bang. His control is immense, and he's got that energy to go forward, and he's a threat. And I'm absolutely full credit to him. And you're absolutely right in how you described the goal, because literally, again, that's my wing, and as I'm on that side, and I exactly the same as what you thought about Iran Kunda. And I ain't going to dig a young lad out, and I know he's up and down to bloody Australia every 5 minutes, and no doubt on his way back out there again. But somehow he's got to be able to settle down, because he's not impacting the game, and he looked a lost little boy tonight.
John, can you go on mute, mate? please. I keep trying to mute you and you unmute yourself. Thank you. Sorry. I think we were hearing the family Parslow there. We'll get him on in a second.
We were hearing,
I
was hearing dogs anyway. Yeah, I'll shut up in a minute. But yes, Aaron Kunda is, looking a little bit lost, and he's looking what he is, a young lad at the moment. Well, I'm assuming he's a young lad after seeing the press this week. But anyway, that's for another day.
Yeah.
But assuming he is that young lad that we think he is, a few things are caught up with him, and that's inevitable. You know, he's travelling halfway around the world every couple of weeks and not really getting chance to get into the groove. And he's a talented lad and one of the quickest things I've ever seen in my life. But so I hope that comes back. But yeah, Mark Boller, outstanding. And if it wasn't for Loser, who obviously just gets man of the match every game, it's just a given. Boller would get a lot more of it. In fact, I thought Boller was the best player tonight, so I'll give him it tonight if there even is an award.
No, he's given it. That's it. I'm sorry. That's what I like. I want somebody to come in here and go, I'm taking charge of this. And Mark Boller is the man of the match. End of. No, I'm perfectly happy with that. Excellent, Rich, as always. So, well, look, I know it's an oxymoron because nobody really does, but enjoy the international break. I mean, does anybody? I don't. I certainly don't. But I think at the end of a week where we got 5 points from 3 games, everybody would have taken the Ipswich point undoubtedly, and I thought it was a good point to come away with. And you know, we kind of yes, we were both resilient, but we also rode our luck at the same time, if that makes sense. The interesting comment about going, well, I think on the statistics we could have got the win today, but we didn't. It's one of those. We will move on to the international break. Thank you very much indeed, Rich WFC2. Let's get across to John Parslow, the Parslow family, and indeed Bailey, the Parslow dog, by the sound of it. Johnny, you there, sir?
Yeah, apologies for that.
That's all right. I was muting you. You were unmuting yourself and all sorts of things because we both thought we were doing the same thing at the same time.
Well, I just walked through the. Well, it was a bit like the front three, right? Not connecting, right? So, but I just walked through the front door, and actually, I'd lost you, so I was about to leave again, and then I was just pressing buttons. So, so I couldn't hear you, but obviously you could hear the dog. So.
I heard the dog very, very well indeed. Enough of the dog. Bailey is already the star of the show. What were your thoughts on this week or this game, or what did you want to mention?
Yeah. Well, the result was what it was, but I'm going to kind of contradict Rich a little bit.
Yeah, go for it. Whatever.
Yeah, because like him, I'm frustrated. Wanted to win, could have won, but I think there were various factors, that built into that. I mean, they had, firstly, Bristol had 2 outstanding performances tonight for them. Yeah, their goalkeeper. I mean, the saves. I mean, I'm right. I say it differently to Rich. I'm in the rookery, so there was a few times I thought it was going, so there was, I was on my feet a lot. And obviously, and the other outstanding performance from them was that one in black. I don't know he didn't have a number on, but he was running around the middle. But the rest. So they had 2 outstanding performances, right, for them. Yeah. I think the other factor a little bit was I think we just cannot get away from the fact of the Saturday, Tuesday, Friday impact.
Yeah.
On why things change in certain players, whatever, and what happens, and you got to think about it a little bit. Bar played, and then bringing in Kunda, and he didn't work. But you would think, at the start, you were like, okay, that makes sense, because he should be fresher. Yeah. But there was bits and pieces. I think the other impact a little bit, and this is probably why he went to 3 at the back, and you come back to the Hector Cipriano bit again. Because without labouring the point that was said before, he does pull back into a 3 at times at the back, and it makes it different. And I suspect this is maybe supports Richard a little bit, overcompensated for that a little bit to try and I probably want an extra defender if I've got KMB in the midfield just with Loser. So I think he tried to do that, but then again, you go 3-4-3 should be quite offensive, and it was. And ultimately, the 10 shots, 9 saved is, you just need one of those going. Their keeper was outstanding, right? And Selvik I'm sorry, it was I'm right behind it. I was sitting there going, it's going right. He's shooting. He's to everybody around me going, I know exactly where this is going. And I mean, he just got nothing on it, so his whole positioning was wrong and his dive was wrong. So it was quite shocking, really, because you know, so they've missed that a little bit. But then Selvig, you know, he made some good saves. So I thought the subs were positive. I thought it did make a difference. The crowd got on their feet again.
Yeah.
You know, Mama was brave. I mean, so I think it's okay. It's frustrating as hell. They did work really hard, and I think in a way, it was too easy for us, and we never actually really had momentum. We were just knocking it around for fun early. It was almost like a little bit frustrating, and then we had about, I don't know, it must have been about 100 pass move and scored the goal, and with a Graham Taylor long ball. So that sort of worked, but we never got ourselves into a rhythm because it was too easy until they then got a goal out of one free kick, and then suddenly they were chasing everything, and it took us a while into the second half to get it. But I thought we improved in the second half. So
I think so.
So sorry, Rich. It's okay. It's okay. I don't think there was anything hugely wrong other than we didn't score 2 goals and win 2-1. So,
and that's the point that we were sort of discussing in terms of, you have those 10 opportunities, you kind of have them saved, and you've got to put fair dibs up to Bristol City and take a moment and look at the other side of the coin of this match, which is they took a hammering at the Bet365 against Stoke. They lost at home 1-0, which nobody would enjoy. They went 1-0 down, and then they did manage. Once they managed to get into it, yes, we can all look at Selvig about that, absolutely. But they fought bloody hard to try to stay in there, and did so with some merit, I think, in terms of doing that. I think we can certainly look at it and go, well, did our change of shape really help us, or did it hinder us? Don't know, not sure. There's no sliding doors moment here where we get to go and look at the alternative universe version of this particular game. He's the one who's got to do it. I think the interesting comparisons also are going to be that we chatted with Dave, who's a lovely man, who played Z-Cars on the clarinet, or not, depending on your interpretation of his interpretation of that, which is great. But he was saying, look, they got 6, 7, and 8 players out and injured. And what you mentioned there about, well, Yavi's looking at this. He's had that Saturday, Tuesday, Friday, and he's used as much of the squad as sparingly as he can, so that we don't end up with a 6, 7, or 8 kind of injuries that we can hopefully heap, so that hopefully over the course of the marathon rather than the sprint that is the season, maybe that will pay off. Who knows? I love the fact that different people are looking at this in different ways and going, goals change games, goals change results change outlooks, and so it goes on. So it's good to be able to look at it and go, yeah, fair enough. I'm going to change the question slightly. Does Kieran look a better player playing alongside a second striker?
All our strikers look a better player playing alongside a second striker, because none of them can play on their own out there. But yes, he does. But if you're only going to play one, I would play Dumbia through the centre. I agree. I do agree with that.
Yeah. That was one of the points that was made earlier on as an option, because we were talking about this with various people before the game, and Jason, who was on a call, really good call the other day, and came on and said about, well, they're different kinds of strikers. Semedo is very raw, he's full of running, but he's not exactly he's not a polished diamond. He's a diamond in the rough, very much so. Oh, look, there's my cat falling off for everybody on YouTube. There you go away, cat. Then you've got Dumbia, which I think a lot of people have seen that, he's gone through a hell of a learning curve, and he's looking really, really exciting. But I thought he looked again a bit isolated out on the left, and of course this is all after the event,
the free didn't work. I just could sort of see why he did it. One little shout out, if I could do quickly. So right at the end of the game, I just stayed behind and just watch the players, and then I was just packing up for different reasons. But 2 Finnish guys came along, and I don't know if you know, at the back of the rookery there's a Finland Hornets flag.
Yeah.
So, but they were visiting, and it was their first time to Vicarage Road, and they'd been sitting there on John. They came to get a picture, so I took a picture. I'll put it in the thing for everybody, and I've introduced them to Do Not Scratch Your Eyes. They may even be listening, or they will do that. But it's Mishka and Eli, maybe. They've typed it in, so I'll share that. But yeah, nice. It was their first game. they said they've been touring around the whole of Europe watching various teams, different countries, and this was the best atmosphere, the best fun, the most welcoming people. They loved every minute of it, and they're Hornets for life now. They said yeah.
Right,
So that's about as far I've got.
I like that. I like the fact that we had 2 Finns, and they were the second and third best finish in the stadium, because I think Boller's finish was excellent. You see what I did there? Yeah.
Oh, superb.
Yeah.
Superb.
Yeah. I'm
If I had a clap on,
I'm not
just give
proud.
yourself one of- Can't you press the button for yourself? Are you allowed to do that?
There you go.
There you go. Brilliant.
It's all good. It's all good. John, sir, lovely stuff. Thank you very much indeed for that. What a fine finish, he says. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's get across. I'm going to get across to Greg Wendover-Horn. We've got Dave Carpenter, who I will come after I speak to Uncle Ron, who I'll speak to after Wendover, if that makes sense. And, hey, it's Friday night. I'm sure everybody's in the pub if they can. Greg, what did you make of proceedings tonight?
Peter, how are you?
I'm all right. Haven't seen you for at least till about 10 minutes before kickoff. How are you? What did you think of it all?
What did I think? I think if it was a boxing match, we would have won on points.
Yeah.
But of course, it isn't a boxing match. And we were knocking on that door, weren't we? JP is quite right. Their goalkeeper had a very good game.
Yep.
And when you come out of a game where their goalkeeper is probably their man of the match, you've done okay. I thought we could have done a bit more, but I'm mildly disappointed, but not extremely disappointed.
Nice.
I think our tally from this block of games exceeds what many thought it would be. So we go into this damned international break, another international break. What are they playing this time? With mild optimism.
Yeah.
Agree, Bowler, very, very good. Agree, missed Hector Cipriano. I like Hector, as we were discussing earlier on. He's got work to do on the ball, but his protection, Hector the protector, his protection of that back line, and again, as JP rightly says, allows us to go into a 3 without playing a 3.
Yeah.
I think that was missed.
And just as importantly, it lets Loser get forward, as we've seen him in the last few games. I mean, it's a surprise that we're sitting there going, well, when's Loser going to score then? Because he just scores in all the games, doesn't he? And he didn't get forward as much, which left Kieran Gard isolated a little bit. Just quickly looking at FOTMob, and of course other statistical things are available. The man of the match for the whole game was considered to be Twine, Scott Twine, in 8.5 in the middle of the Bristol midfield, but he did get forward in comparison to Loser a bit, but obviously his goal's going to give him kind of star points. Vitek was second with 7.6. He's their goalkeeper, who we chatted about with David. Vitek, he's very good. He's in from Manchester United.
Yeah, he's good. Twine. We know Twine's a good player, but that's what £3.5 million in the Championship gets you. He should be a good player. They've given top dollar for him.
And Boller, by the way, he was our man of the match on that 8.4 on that statistic there, which was fine. And interestingly, Kieran Gard scored higher than, Iran Kunda was 6.9, Dumbia 6.7. I think that was just the fact that they were sort of isolated and really played as wingers rather than if they'd have played inside, maybe that might have helped a little bit more. I don't know, but hey, it's gone. Sorry, sir, go on, far away.
But my area of anger comes from the man in black tonight. You know who it was, don't you, Peter?
I didn't know. Just who was it this time?
It was Paul bloody Turney. Now, if you're not good enough for the Premier League, you're not good enough for the Championship. And he was dreadful. I watched him work with his linesmen, or what they call assistant referees these days. And he wasn't working as a team. He is a dreadful referee. And, you know, why should the championship be lumbered with him when he's been dumped from the Premier League for being crap? Yeah, he was dreadful.
That's dreadful, everybody. Well,
No, well, everybody knows he's a dreadful referee. Everybody knows he's dreadful.
well, I think the standard of reffing has been very inconsistent, and you know, you kind of look at it and you go, you've just let some of the most obvious, blatant stuff going, both sides. This isn't about, you know, kind of each way, and then you've given that one there, and it did feel odd. I'm going to ask you a question here though, because Joan and Betty on YouTube has put on here, unbalanced with Vatter out, unfortunately, says Selvig's positioning and defensive walls are just asking for a goal. Shocking. One-on-one, he did well. I think that's all fair, but I like this particularly. Thought Loser did a great impression of Ian Bolton. Now, not everybody will remember Ian Bolton, but as a passing range, does that say something about the fact that he was having to use his passing range further back? Ian Bolton played in, if anybody doesn't know, in Graham Taylor's first era as a centre back, but he had a passing range that was always described as a long ball by the lazy people, but he could basically release Callahan and Barnes, and, you know, hit Jenkins.
I remember Ian Bolton and the way he could pass the ball. A sublime pass, absolutely sublime. You know, I compared it in our little chat to Glenn Hoddle-esque pass.
Does it say something in comparison that Loser was having to play? He wasn't getting forward as much. He did, obviously, in the latter stages of that first half. Sorry, in the latter stages of the second half. But we kind of, as we were keeping the ball and moving it around, and then they did occasionally hit us on the break. But he wasn't getting into those quite same positions, or Bristol was stopping us and getting bodies in the way. And of course, you know, Vitek had a great game in goal.
They worked their nuts off, Peter. They worked their nuts off. Not that we didn't, but Bristol worked their nuts off. Loser's pass, you won't see a better pass all weekend. And on that silly league that they put out at 10:30 on a Saturday night on Match of the Day, you would not see a better pass than that all weekend. What a ball! What a ball! Didn't think he had his best game, but, you know, he's played a lot of football, and I guess this international break will give him a bit of a rest. Look, mildly disappointed, pleased with our tally. I think there's more to come. I think there is more to come. There's lots of good signs from this team. Don't book any holidays when the playoffs are on. Anybody listening, because I've got a little feeling that there's more to come.
Oh God, he's got one of his little feelings. Everybody, Mrs. Wendover, lock the door. That's all I'm saying.
There's more to come from this team. Current guards, I thought he worked exceptionally hard, Peter. The ball's just not dropping and falling for him. But I think he's going to be a good number 9.
Good.
Yeah, good. I'll let you get on to somebody else.
All right, mate.
But have a nice weekend.
And you, sir, enjoy the international break. Not that anybody does. And we will catch Wendover the other side of this. As I say, Mrs. W, batten down the hatches. He's coming back with that certain kind of feeling. Now let's get across to Florida and find out whether Uncle Ron has managed to escape childcare duties for a brief moment or two. Ron, are you there?
I'm here. Yeah.
Oh, look at this. He's here now. You did try the other day to get on when, I can't remember when we won, and we just didn't manage to hook up, because I appreciate people only have a certain amount of time. So, sir, you have called for, you know, the ability to play 2 up front. We didn't today, but we have done in the last few games. Have you been encouraged by that? And what are your general thoughts? What points did you want to make, sir?
Well, I was thrilled that he went to two up front. It was a great performance against Middlesbrough. Ipswich, we got away with it, I thought, a bit, but I thought he was very brave. Excuse me, sticking with the two up front against Ipswich.
Yeah, I agree.
But unfortunately, today, I think it was a terrible missed opportunity. And dare I say it, I'm going to be very careful with my words. I think it was a great mistake not to play two up front again tonight. Bristol City have a lot of injuries, and we should have done it again. And I'd love to see Irankunda out wide and Barr out wide together. I think it's a big mistake, and unfortunately, Keramgard cannot play as a lone striker. I don't see much difference between him and Rajovic. Excuse me. Rajovic got pelters for just, scoring goals.
Yeah.
Hold on, yes.
He's
I'll
getting
be
shouted
back
at.
on time, I promise. I'm on the space. I'll be back. Oh.
Just know, everybody, that even though it's Uncle Ron still has a boss who knows no.
Yes, don't I know it? My Lord. I'm going to get in trouble because I got to be back by a certain time.
Go on, sir.
Now
Go
I'm
on.
talking on the space, but anyway, a missed opportunity tonight.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I think your point about it being brave at Ipswich away from home, I thought it was interesting. Have we used the squad to the detriment in a way of this game? Was this the one whereby we needed fresh legs, and but for a couple of decisive moments which we all know can go, it could have gone the right way? Or do we just think, because I'm cards hands up, I'm in agreement. I don't think the three up front and so wide worked. I think if you maybe played them slightly further in that kind of 3-4-2-1 sort of way, might have worked a little bit better than today. But hindsight's 2020. But you've been so encouraged and been such a long exponent to play the two up front that it feels like it does feel like an almost a missed opportunity, because it could have been 7 from 9 and that would have really felt something. Whereas I think 5 is still pretty good from the when we look back at this run of teams we were taking on, still feels quite healthy, but it's almost the one that got away, isn't it?
Yes, I think it was a little bit of a failure of nerve tonight from Gracia, and start with 2 up front. And who cares if they're exhausted at the end? Hopefully they're too exhausted to play for their countries or those who are going on international duty.
I like
right? Who cares about their countries, right?
Well, you certainly don't. You certainly don't.
No,
I know.
You've
come out and been look at Georgie Chakfadadze. He's been fit and gone to Georgia. Not at the moment, I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, Peter. Particularly makes it back in time. Announced on the Georgia team sheet, a Lazarus-like recovery.
No, I don't think we'll see that. I don't think that'll happen. Overall, since obviously Petzolano has moved out and we've got Yavi back, though, if you were to give an old style school grade, let's go A to F. You can put in pluses and minuses and what have you. What would you give Yavi's performance thus far since he's been back?
A B. I was a B because it would have been an F, but he's learned and he's no longer starting Sissoko, so that's raised the grade considerably.
I like the fact that your default starting position is F. I like that. No, I'm all for that.
That's my life default starting position.
I'm all for that. It's an F, but he's gone up to B. I think that interesting the use of, I think, Tom Ince, brought in from the cold and seems to be one of the preferred sort of experienced players to come on and bring a sound head to proceedings. I think we've got something useful with Tom Ince there. I'd rather him being prolonged used personally than Sissoko. I don't know if you saw the game against Ipswich, but he came on and within a couple of minutes gave the ball away twice. And then
yes,
and then this guy, if you were listening to it, the Sky commentators were then going, Ipswich, he's not going to get to there because So Soko's hoovered it up. Of course he has. He gave the fucking thing away. It's his own errant touch that he's trying to get back on it. Oh, I don't know. No, I agree with you. I think he's done well, and I think on occasions he's going to err on the side of caution. And I think probably today was a little bit about trying to go at it with fresh legs. And who knows? But for the a goalkeeper trying to make up for a bad day at the Bet365 last week, maybe we might have nicked the 3 points. Who knows? Never mind. Well, sir, thank you very much indeed for joining us. Lovely stuff. There's Ron. You see, he does come on, and he does try to come on even when we win, but sometimes I can't get to him, and sometimes he's being told off by his family members that he's got to go and do things. So there we go. Let's get to Dave Carpenter, who the last time we spoke to was with his son Max, and they were moving from darkest Cornwall to even darker Cornwall. Dave, how you doing, sir?
How you doing, mate? You all right? Yeah, all good as gold, really.
Good. Well, we were having a chat with you and your lad and everything.
Yeah.
Have you managed to see any of the game? Because last time you were listening to it, but obviously being in Cornwall, the audio was intermittent. Did you get to see or hear any of the game today?
I did, yeah. I was sat in the front room again with the fire on and a cup of tea.
Nice.
And I watched
tea
the
is
full game.
important. We know this.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we scored, so there you go. I mean, I don't want to repeat what everyone said tonight. I think we've covered pretty much all of it, haven't we? But I mean, I thought we did okay. I just think that, call me naive, Pete. Call me it. I don't know why we changed formation. It was working, and I know that obviously you have to make tactical tweaks and stuff and rotate players, but it was working. Why did we change it? And I think we shot ourselves in the foot there. I think if we'd gone 4-4-2, I think we would have been all right. But like you said earlier, hindsight's a wonderful thing, isn't it?
Well, it is, and for anybody to remember that Mark had drunk copious amounts of tea, which basically has meant he's had to continue making those. Melanie has pointed out. She said, "I'm going to make some onion chutney following our last disappointing result when I made mango chutney, which was a success according to the family. Small wins." So I mean, if Melanie's going to be baking and you're going to be making tea, I mean, surely the playoffs are in sight. Clearly,
there's got to be something, isn't there?
Yeah, I think there's a confusion as to why when you're playing well, why you then change, especially against a team who's got a restriction of options due to injuries. But at the end of the day, it's only the manager who knows how fit everybody is on the bench, exactly where everyone is. And I think at some point we have, we do. I think we do. You have to go over to say we've got a manager in the building that I think most of us can go, yeah, we'll trust him. I think he'll get it right. We just heard Ron. He's gone from the default of F to B. My lord, that's high praise indeed from Ron. I can tell you that much. And so we will see where we go with it. But I'm just not sure the formation really worked. But I'd have liked to have seen us revert to 2 up front personally, but I don't think we really did.
I don't know why we didn't, so we've got an international break coming up, so why wouldn't it just go, right, we'll stick with the same team, 4-4-2, bust your balls for 45 minutes, and then we'll change it when everyone's knackered. I thought, when Barr come on that, I know he put on the left, but it suddenly livened up. We had that sort of 15-minute spell of just pummeling in their goal. It wouldn't drop, and just bloody inch trying to connect with a shot these days is horrendous, isn't it? Just get the bloody ball in. I'll tell you who I thought played really well. This could be quite controversial, but I thought Kayembe did all right tonight. I thought he was really steady and did his job. And obviously he did 90, didn't he? So I thought he was all right tonight. And I don't think he's been that good next to Sissoko and that, but I thought he did all right tonight, or that might just be me. I don't know.
I think it was, as I was watching the substitutions being made, and we went with the 3 where we brought on Marma and we brought on Barr and we brought on Jeremy and Gakia. And I think there are some times where you'll make a tactical substitution and you'll change personnel, but you'll also change shape. I thought that what he was looking at tonight was, am I going to bring on personnel who will make the change? And in the same way as I think Kayembe did okay. I think he has a tendency to put his foot on the ball and slow things up. And whereas I think It's not an obvious thing with Cipriano, but his simple use of the ball and his first time touch it means that the play kind of tends to work a bit quicker, and Loser can then get forward. I don't think Kayembe had a bad game today. I just think it's the difference between the personnel in the roles as to how they play them, if you see what I mean. So no, I think he did it. It's just, it felt for me on occasions when it was right, okay, there's a time to move this forward, that we slowed it down. And what that often means is it's going back into the back line, and then we kind of go around in that horseshoe kind of shape with possession on occasions. And there have been times whereby when we've had somebody who's then linked from the midfield or from a deep attacking position, like, for example, Iran Kunda, when he's through the middle, he uses his pace to go up and connect with somebody like Kierkegaard. That can really work. I don't think we quite managed to get the solutions to that today, because we had two wingers either side who felt really, really isolated. They're not really wingers in some ways, I suppose. And it never quite felt like it worked, other than when they tugged over and that fantastic ball and Boller running through, which was lovely to see. So there we go. What are your thoughts? I asked Ron, but I think it's only reasonable to ask an extended kind of subset of people of this, and that basically means you. What grade again would you think that you might give Yavi for his first few games in charge, bearing in mind obviously it was a disappointment at Sheffield United. Obviously Coventry we lost, but I think everybody had a feel-good factor. And then we've had this week where we've had a win and two draws, where we could have potentially even looked at this with, well, potentially 9 points, but I think we're quite happy about what we got from Ipswich. 7 points probably more reasonable. What grade would you give him, sir?
Well, I think he was doing all right. He's let himself down a little bit tonight, so I'll give him a C+. I think actually. Yes,
I like the use of the plus. I like that very much. Mark Schofield said, "If it ain't broke, why fix it?" And I think that's probably what a lot of people are looking at there. But the stats point to 10 shots on goal, 9 saves. Now, I remember when Graham Taylor was a manager, and various other people at the time, and this will be for anybody who's football analyst, the Charles Hughes style kind of statistical thinking was, if you got 10 shots on target, you were something like 90% assured to win the game statistically. And we got 10 shots on target today. Of course, statistics and the game has moved on and all of this, etc. But it was, it was there. Oh, Ian Hiles has said something contentious, everybody. He says, I actually enjoy the international break. Being English, living in Scotland, it can be entertaining. Why is that the constant wailing and gnashing of teeth as the Scottish national team go through from each false break? Nicely done here. I like that very much indeed. What did Mark Skull say? He said, if it ain't worked, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Why change to 3 centre backs, even though it suits Elaine and Pollock was in the middle? No, it's all there. It's all there.
He was excellent again. He was excellent. I thought Pollock was brilliant tonight. He tackled everything.
Yeah, he was the one, and I was on groups when we were talking about the first half, and people were pointing out, and I like the phrase, so I'm going to steal it and use it as my own, which was the first half was a half of 2 halves, and we sort of scored, they got the goal, and then everything went a little bit awry. And somebody's comment was, the one player that was the exception of, who was outstanding throughout that first half, was Matty Pollock. And I think I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think he was very, very good indeed. Anything good planned for the international break, or are you going to be doing the wailing and gnashing of teeth in the same way that Do Not Scratch Your Eyes do?
Well, it's a lot of boredom, because me and my lad do the fantasy together, and we get a bit bored if we sit around staring at the wall. But I'm one of these old school. I'm 48 years old. I should grow up. I play Football Manager, and now the new one's out. I'll just be doing that. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
I know, yeah. So that's just me, and my lad's not interested. It's too complicated for him, so it'll just be me on my own. That's it. International break boredom done.
Now, we have discussed this before, but we've got a live one, people. We're finding out here that Dave does this. The reports of people that when they're playing this get far too involved and far too ingrained. And there was the wonderful thing that on Talksport on the Hawksby and Jacob show where the bloke phoned in and he said, a couple of nights back, my wife did come down at about 4 a.m. and I was in the kitchen. And she said, "Who are you talking to?" And he went, "I've just won the League Cup. I'm doing the post-match conference." Have you ever had some of these out-of-body experiences with Football Manager?
I've been questioned by my ex-wife, my then wife.
This explains a lot, I think.
She was a Football Manager widow, a Championship Manager widow, actually. Going back that far. Yeah. She what you wearing a shirt and tie for? So cup final, it's obvious, isn't it? She said, "You're ridiculous." Everyone does it. Surely everyone does it. Cup final, shirt and tie, sit there watching it. That's the thing, So yeah, I've done that, and I'll still do it now, but I have to do it secretly because I am older and I've got responsibilities now.
My claim to fame was that when I was at Aylesbury United, because I did the youth and then the reserve team, so I've been there for a little while. And in the early days of Championship Manager, the way they would get the data in, obviously there's all sorts of forms of data now, but they would have contacts at each club, including non-league clubs such as Aylesbury, and whoever the representative was would give the scores back on the players. And so I was included in Championship Manager 4. And it was highly contentious. Because I'd been there a little while, and then somebody went, "Oh, all right, we'll give Pete, I don't know, a 4 or something," and the actual first team coach was given a 3. Apparently, wasn't pleased about it. Had nothing to do with any form of anything other than the fact that clearly I had been there and bought somebody a drink at some point. But it's obvious all of these things have moved on now. But in future, we can find out kind of what. So Dave, we're going to ask first of all then, and then we can track this through the season. Who are you currently managing on the new game?
Well, do you know what? It's interesting. I've always managed them throughout my life, and I don't even support them, but I think it's because they play in yellow. So I always go for Torquay. So I always start with them, because obviously they're non-league at the moment, and I build them up and try and take them to the top. I've never got them to the Premier League though. I usually get them to about mid-table Championship. I can't go any further with them. It's a nightmare.
So where are you currently in what league? And then we can track this after the international break and find out how things have gone.
I've just started. So what are they now? What's it called now? The
conference?
No, it's the Enterprise South, isn't it? That's what it's called now.
Oh, yeah. So it's in the Conference South, effectively.
Conference South, basically. Yeah, the Banner Brahma, whatever you want to call it these days. Yeah, so that's where they are. And I've played 15 and I am top. So I'm doing all right.
Look at this. I'm not saying we're running out of content already as the international season started, but we're already now following Dave on Championship Manager, everybody, even though that game stopped about 20 years ago and it's been called Football Manager forever. Oh, excellent. Dave, you are in charge of Torquay and we want regular updates through the international break. Excellent stuff. Dave, sir, go and have a splendid night. Go and take Torquay to what will be obviously inevitable glory. Lovely stuff. Yes, I know we talk shite, but you're the one watching it. So honestly, who's to blame, really? Let's have a look and see what everybody else has said. West London Hornet, Gary, has said, no one seems to pronounce Kierkegaard correctly. So can we just call him Ken? We could do, but the other day we had Anders, from Sweden, let us know how to pronounce it. Kierkegaard. There you go. Apparently that's the right way. But I think Ken Kierkegaard, that's really pleasing. We can certainly improve. I thought Mama did well again, said Mark Schofield, after coming on, looking okay on the right and the left. I agree. I think he looks a lot of fun. He doesn't look phased by being up against, big, hairy-assed Championship left-backs. All big, hairy-assed is the, kind of standard unit of defensive measurement in the Championship. KMB was fine anchor in the midfield, and Bola had another good game. He says. He also says KMB. What's he said? I'm going to make an apple crumble. Says Carl. Carl, this is good stuff. I like this. Can we find out what the correlation is of apple crumble to results, please? Sean WFC says KMB needed to move the ball quicker, but didn't do much wrong. Yeah, that's the problem for me with him, is because he'll play a lot with his back to goal and then slow the ball up, and when he gets the ball he'll tend to turn, as we know, because he will tend to turn to the right because he's a left-sided, a very left-dominant player, and then it'll move and be kept keeping possession but slowing the game going forward when sometimes we might want to speed it up. Mark's back. He said I would give Grazia a B+ so far. Like it. Carl Wilson has run in with a C+. I like that. I like this. Hi Pete from Ryan. Hello Ryan. Sorry, you made various comments. Thank you very much indeed for that. Helen Chamberlain will be pleased about Torquay. Helen Chamberlain, probably, I imagine, probably the most famous of Torquay fans. I play EA 25, says Ryan. Well, is it 25 or is it 26 now coming out? Has that come out now? I don't know. But my son will have it, no doubt. So there we go. Right. In that case, let's get on to, let me just quickly change a couple of things. What are we doing here? Let's just knock those on the head, and let's get across to all of the things we do here. None of them working, but what the heck? Let's get across to 5-word reviews. Let's go there, shall we? That's good. Almost there, people. Bear with. There we go. We've even got the 5-word reviews up now for those people watching. We're going to go through the 5-word reviews. 5 points from the week, I think, feels pretty good. Everybody feels there's a feel-good factor still with Yavi. I appreciate the Sheffield United game would have tested that a little bit, but it seems to be okay now. Ryan Cripps says, very frustrated, dreadful miscalculation by Selvig for their free kick equaliser, and Gakia and Ince looked impressive when coming on. Felt we had all the possession and decent chances, but 2 points dropped. That's the way to look at it as well, maybe. Who knows? Chances were there to be taken, says WFC Dorney. Sorry, couldn't fit that into 5. No, nobody really listens to any of my rules, Dorney. You know, it's just one of them. Dave Lavender said, it just didn't click tonight. It's one of those where you look at it and you go, you've got 10 chances on goal. So clearly we have created something, but yet it still didn't feel like it didn't click. I do agree with it. It's all odd. Gaz says KMB turns like a nope. Can't think of anything else that turns that slowly, says Gaz. Edward Hayter says so disappointed. Wasted fixture. Not into 3 games in a week. Shit. Down to the club to manage it. Twats. Simple as that. Sorry, he says. Shooting practice during international break, says Gaz. Ed Hate back again. Said fucking waste of everyone's time. I don't think Ed's very happy, to be quite frank. And I you know, hey, it's not me to tell Ed whether he should be happy or not. I think that's perfectly reasonable. Where are we? Need to be more clinical, says Gaz. Should have won that comfortably, says Pete Joylis Jones. Points dropped. That's on Yavi, says Ben. Hey, Ben. Karaoke. Hello, Brian. That's a return to form. I have to say, Brian, that's a definite return to form. Potso loves an international break. Oh, don't say that's going to happen. Dr. Dickie Sutton, I want my 4-4-2 back. Yeah. Here he goes. Oh, wow, look at this. Look at this. Oh, no, it wasn't Brian. That was Gary Karaoke. There you go. Brian's still on the bring back the 80s. Brian's very much on a nostalgia kick. International break, time for change. Grazia got it wrong tonight, he says. Harry and KMB ruined creativity, says he says formation and KMB ruined creativity. WFC Chef, that formation is utter gash. John Parslow, keeper and ref played blinders. Holly, hello Paul, says without loser we are average. I must confess there was at one point in the game, and I turned to Sean, my mate who was sitting with, and went, we're gonna need to find somebody who can eventually replace loser, but the better thing would just keep him. Let's just keep him. Let's just put him in a cupboard during the international break and not let anyone know where he is. Willie Eckers, like said, not a performance to remember. Yeah, that's why I thought it was kind of a little bit or a bit meh. But maybe I'm not focusing on the performance. Maybe I'm focusing on the thought about what we might be able to get from the game, and perhaps a little bit about the fact that, you know, Bristol was struggling for numbers, had a bad week. But, you know, this is the championship. If you've had a bad week, it's within it for teams to dig in and come and get a result. And I think they'll be taking that point away, thinking that they've stopped the rot for the week. Slippery Selvig deserved more. Meh, says M. Hey, M. Let's have a look. Brian's back. Is Selvig injured or not is the question. Well, he clearly wasn't 100%. But there have been times, and I'm thinking of Norwich at home, where he's gone down on the park in order to have a chance to kind of regroup. and what have you. Every time he seemed to make a save, he seemed to have a problem. He seems to have a problem with his shoulder. And at one stage they were preparing and he was stripped, was Nathan Baxter was going to come on. And then it was, no, I'm all right. They made a double substitution. So he had to be all right at that particular point. Because I think we'd have used all the subs up by then, because that would have been embarrassing. But yeah, no. There are questions for Egil Selvik to confirm his qualities. I think that's reasonable to say. But he did make some outstanding one-on-one saves. One of those was what made the injury, which was the one from Sinclair Armstrong. Petris puzzling. Push pisses away point, says Pete Ryan. Nero the Golden Boy says embarrassed. Watford fan from Bristol. Play Mendy instead of Kayembe, says Alan WFC. My understanding is I think that, you know, and you'd have heard it already in the Watford Observer, but, you know, we've got other people who've said exactly the same thing, is that Yavi isn't convinced. I mean, in many ways, and I've said it before, when we had, I can't remember which game it was, it would definitely have been under Petzolano, where we had Nampalys Mendy and we had Loser. Now Loser's 5'9" and Nampalys is 5'6", so you're not going to win many headers in there realistically, even though, you know, Loser will work all the way. It may be something of that. It may be something about the power. So who knows? But Alan WFC would like him back in. A couple too many changes, says Mike. Brian's back. As bad as the government's record on keeping prisoners locked up, he says. Oh, there's topical for everybody. Is it the government or is it the individual prison? I don't know. I don't really. Well, no, of course I care about these things. Perhaps here 2 conservative points dropped, says Vic Bate. Yeah, could have. Another person who thinks that. I think it's that. It wasn't broken, don't fix it. You can always amend from it. Who knows? Hampshire Hornet says seen ships turn quicker than Kayembe. Poor old Kayembe does come into it, but he does turn one way and he doesn't do it quickly. Why change the bloody system, says Simon Park in the air? Once, says what was that? I don't even know what that relates to. Lest we forget the ship performances. Yes, we have been worse before. Performance matching at badly Watford. X-strand attempt. Oh, I didn't see that. I haven't seen badly drawn Watford today. If you don't, and if you haven't done, do go and look at badly Watford. It's just a joy. It's what it says on the tin. The Duck says Bristol City a lot better than we thought they'd be. I don't disagree. I thought they worked really hard. I thought they were structurally really solid, and they were clearly very determined in the 18-yard box to make sure that you know, those efforts weren't going to go in, including the keeper, who we got told was pretty good, but had a couple of wobbles. Seemingly not now. Defending set pieces needs improving, says SG91 WFC, like that. Also says need to take those chances. Harry says Iran Kunda drop off needs a mention. I think that's very reasonable. He's got fantastic pace, as we saw again on Tuesday. When he was running, but today he didn't seem to want to run. He didn't seem to want to get the ball and go with it. And he just cut a very frustrated figure. However, I think Rich WFC 2 made a great point, which is he is going to and from Australia. That will, you know, knacker him out a bit as well. But he hasn't played that much recently, so you would hope that he would be able to retain some fitness and go again. But I think in this 4-4-2. We're having to find a position that works for him. I don't really think, as at Coventry and as today, that him being stuck out on the left works as well as he does through the middle. I just think he's one of those players who can go left or go right. And sometimes if you're hugging the touchline, you can only really go one of those ways. You know, you can't kind of cut out. Otherwise, you're basically, you know, on somebody's lap in the lower Graham Taylor. So, yeah, I think it's a very fair point. He came in like an absolute whirling dervish of a player, an absolute, you know, tornado, and, you know, obviously the free kicks, both obviously 2 set pieces, you know, absolutely threw him up to the top of the attention for everybody in the championship, and he's not quite lived up to that since, which is a shame. I think in the same breath, I think we can look at Barr and go, yeah, there's still more to come from those guys. We need to find a formation that is going to get the most out of some of our people. We'll call them wingers or attacking number 10s or attacking midfielders. It doesn't really matter. That we get the most from them, because I think that'll be that will see us hopefully kind of project further. WFC Chef says Edo the Omnipod is no Hector the Protector. I like that. Backman saves that, says Sean Walsh. Oh, Sean, that's fighting talk. I like that very much. Barry French says arse gravy and arse gravy. I certainly my favorite type of gravy. No, that's not actually true. George Hornet Fanzio says Dumbia showed his class again. I thought Dumbia looked oddly isolated. Now, he has played on that right side as an inverted winger when he was at Mali and with the under-17s, and he's also played that with the with the Mali national team when he's had his kind of couple of games. Again, I don't think it was a question if he can't play that. I just thought he looked isolated there. I don't think that Petrus really helped him very much. I thought we looked much better in the second half for both Marma and for the time when he came over for Bar. I think they look more threatening because they had Ngakia behind them. I think he gives you as a winger, number 10, call it what you want. I think he gives you something to move forward with. Brilliant Boller bullied Bristol. I like that, big galoot. More of the same, please. I like it. George says, why sub Dumbia, not Luca? I agree. I would have shifted him in because of the previously mentioned mobility that he gives you, and he gives you something else. And sometimes it's good to give the opposition another problem to think about. I said earlier on, sometimes the change is personnel, sometimes it's structural and systemic. And in this case, I think he might have given us something possibly different. However, this is all very wise after the event. Hindsight, as I say, is 2020. Stop Imram loser, stop Watford, says Stuart Cashmore. That's a very good point. Well done to the 1881. Yeah, no, it was a good display, and I appreciate some people are saying, kind of political banners or what have you. That's the second one of those poppy banners that we've done, and I think it's a great thing to commemorate it, and well done for everybody who organised it and did it. If it's not your thing, it's not your thing, but it's an important part of the fabric of the country, so to speak, or the nation, I suppose, in that regard. So well done there. Only bonus, Mama played well, says Latin. I thought Mama was very, very pleasing. Very, very pleasing indeed. 2 points dropped, but then Yavi took. But when Yavi took over, I thought he would get 1 point out of these 3 games. So to get 5 is good, says Carl Wilson. Like that. Peter Grant simply says horrible. I know I am, but there's no reason to talk to me about that. Javi Grazia got it wrong, says Taste the Biscuit, 979. 4-4 fucking 2, Yavi, says Luke. Well done, Luke, for not pulling any punches. And Jonathan Hale immediately follows up with just play 4-4 fucking 2. I think there are some synergies there. There are some agreements. I think that's good. Right, let's quickly get to the long forms and then let you guys, let's face it, it's Saturday. Oh, look, there's me. Everybody next to me. You don't want that. That's not good. Oh, we've only got 3. That's good. That you're going to be off and on the beer. Oh no, there's more than 3. Never mind. Tone says felt Iran Kunda was finally getting into it right before he got taken off. I don't disagree with that. He had a good run and he produced something. He'd been very frustrating until then. It's always one of the frustrations when you go as a manager to make the substitution, because you have to alert the 4th official. My level of the game, it used to be the linesman, before you were going to do it. And then they go and do something good and you think, oh God, do I change it again? I'm not sure. Mama still needs a lot of bulking up and introducing to the league standard. Ref was awful and made Petrus' performance look worse than it was. Interesting set of observations there, Cone. Thank you very much for those. Hampshire Hornet says K9 is a problem, in my opinion. He cannot lead the line on his own. His inability to bring others into play consistently and hesitancy when it comes to shooting were clear to see tonight. I think he does. There was one occasion where he had to try to get it, and he was trying to get it on his left and he couldn't, and you're playing in the condensed area. He is still, yeah, absolutely. I think he's adapting to the league and the role. And I think, as I said earlier on to John, I think he looks better with 2, with the 2 up front. And I think all of our 3 look better with 2 up front, including Semedo, who in fairness, under Petzolano, and it's only right to say it, started to make a bit of a fist of it, actually, in fairness to him. I thought but interesting stuff. Hampshire Hornet says, whilst Dumbia did nothing wrong, he slowed play too much and kills all the momentum. Whilst KMB did nothing wrong, sorry, he slowed down too much, kills all the momentum. He also took up far too many spaces where we needed loser. No, I think that's, well, it kind of echoes what I said. Oh, look, we've got the two Finns. Oh, look, we're going to get to that. I think you need to add one more to Pete Beadle's list of appearances on the opposition view, says WFC Chef. He appears to have come out of retirement in the number 9 shirt. I like that. I like that. Anybody who hasn't seen the opposition view, where we basically ruined the name of footballing podcasts mainly by fucking about for long periods of time. But hey, if you wanted a straight podcast, what on earth are you looking to talk to us? There we go. Miska and Alice, there we go at the back of the rookery. Excellent stuff, gentlemen. Lovely to see you there. Boller has the most crosses in the league from open play, says Brian. Interesting. Andrew, John Pardo says, and save the FA Cup final date as well, Wendover. There we go. Karaoke from Gary says, if a Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal player makes that loser pass, it's called a pass. But Sky described what Watford FC goal as Route 1 football. What loser did there should be a rerun all weekend. World class. We talked earlier on about Ian Bolton, and Ian Bolton had exactly the same thing during the 80s, where everything we did was called long ball. And the guys, Justin and Carl, got to interview Ian Bolton, but neither of them are really old enough to remember him, but I am. And so they got a number of questions in, and one of mine was, did it frustrate you that your passing range at Watford was not appreciated because we were Watford and we were deemed a long ball side? And, you know, he answered it with the diplomacy that you'd expect of Ian Bolton, because frankly, he's a fucking legend. And it was like, oh yeah. And you would watch back in the day, back then. So, you know, my point of this is nothing ever changes. They said about this in the 80s. Alan Hansen, a fantastic player, no doubt, or even an Emlyn Hughes, who would play at the back for Liverpool, would play a long ball out, and, you know, Keegan or Dalglish in their various different eras would get hold of the ball, and it would be described as a long pass and a brilliant long. Hoddle would, as Wendover was saying earlier on, would be lauded for his passing range. But yeah, no. Loser's a class act. End of. The Big Lebowski said, Elon stopped me getting on. Don't think he did it personally. We should have won that. First 20, great. Last 20, great. We need to take our chances. Loser missed Kip today. And Petrus, careless giving away that free kick. But Selvig at fault again on the free kick. He needs to practice them. We've got Watford Limericks. We'll finish them off because they're still going to be in plain sight. I expect it was fine, says Chris Nordinwuter. We have the best home form in the league, but can't expect to win every home game. Nicely put. I like the variance in perspectives as much as opinions. And Snowboy says a point against a depleted City side could be seen as 2 points dropped. Questions over Selvig as the number 1 grow louder. Awful error on the free kick. And then he's put, I'm gonna attempt my first Romanian phrase. Everybody, cover me. I'm going in. Noapte bunya. I don't know if that was good, Snowboy. Tell me next time if that was bloody awful, because it probably was. Never mind. Let's finish with some some limericks. The game I have witnessed tonight has shown good things and things that aren't right, but I am enthusiastic. Our captain, fantastic. Imran Losers, a talent, so bright. Brilliant wordsmithing all over the place. Well, look, thank you very much indeed for staying with us after a game that felt it was definitely frustrating. It definitely got away from us. Could we have won it? Yes. Should we have won it? Perhaps. Did we win it? Certainly not. Did Bristol City, are they halfway down the M4 now with a hard-earned point? Yeah, I think they are. I think they deserved a point, to be frank. And at times they could have nicked more than that as well. Sometimes you get a game like that. Actually, was it a bad game on reflection? No, I think it's probably going to be, that game is almost like one of those films that you watch and go, I wasn't too sure about it. And then the second time you watch it, because you know what you're expecting, you sort of enjoy the component parts. Maybe it was one of those. But anyway, there we go. We move into the international break. So go and enjoy that. Have a nice time. We will, I'm sure, put some load of old nonsense out per normal. Don't expect it to be any better than the normal crap. You know, because hey, if you expected things like that by now, oh no. Look, thank you very much indeed for sticking with us. We will see you very, very shortly. Enjoy the break, and we will be back, well, kind of soonish, really. Yawns.